to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Tappan. Present. Thank you. Alderwoman West. Alderwoman Reed. Alderman Burns.
Here.
Alderman Jordan.
Here.
Alderman Christian.
Here.
Alderwoman Dales.
No, she's absent. She's going to approve that contract.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
Present.
And Chief Iwer.
Present. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for June 6, 2019.
I'll second that. Move in second that we approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed with nay. Thank you. Presentation of unapproved minutes, May 30th, is that what we just did? May 16th and May 30th. Unapproved minutes, yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the unapproved minutes for May 30th special meeting.
And May 16th. On the one at a time. Let's do the 16th first.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 16th meeting.
Is there a second? Oh, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jordan.
All right. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on May 30th, 2019.
Is there a second? All right. Question.
Was Kevin here?
He's listed as present.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Kevin, you're so quiet.
I was, I gotta send a bill for them.
Man, you made me nervous. I thought you were asking me was he here tonight.
Oh, no. You listed him as president, I didn't think he was here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to open the meeting to the public?
None needed. None.
Well, the meeting is open to the public. Each one, 3 minutes.
Peg Warnes, 10030 Creek Drive. I just want to say that this past week of sandbagging was one of the greatest experiences I've experienced in Bellefontaine Neighbors and living here. It was so wonderful to see people together. Race wasn't an issue, socioeconomics wasn't an issue, gender wasn't an issue. It was people working together, laughing at times about missing the sand where it was supposed to go. It was just delightful. And I know some of those people are there because that's their job, but there was an atmosphere of camaraderie and support. And I think it summed up the lady who owned the house that is sandbagged to protect, stood up after Mayor Pearson spoke and just thanks people with tears running down her face, how appreciative she was of this event. So although it was sad that it's happening, and it was wonderful to participate in.
Thank you.
Wanda Lane, 9915 Martindale. My question is to Chief. You know, we have all kinds of modern day information on our phones now, and there is an app that I have that informs me of criminal activity, and sometimes you just have to turn it off. It's just so much. But one came through last week that, and I don't even know how you verify this activity or not, but it was about a body that was dumped, for lack of a better word, at Chambers and Holy. Did that actually happen?
There was not a body dumped there. There was a body discovered next to the railroad tracks at the overpass where Chambers and railroad tracks cross. Right now, that body is undergoing forensic examination with the ME's office and a forensic anthropologist. So right now, we have reason to believe it was a person who suffered a heroin overdose and was, put as bluntly as I can, dismembered by animals over a period of a few weeks.
And see, I'm glad I asked that question because the information that was falsely disseminated was that it was a crime that happened in the city and they brought the body to Bellefontaine. So of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, but that's not what happened.
We don't allow people to bring dead back.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Afternoon. My name is Marjorie Cook and I live at 8988 Bellefontaine. And, Mayor, it's been, cause I called Elise and she never did come and move. Your sign is at the end of Bellefontaine, at the end of the city, Bellefontaine, and it's right there by where the restaurant used to be. Crystals. It's the sign, your sign, when you was running for mayor, it's there and it's growing up in weeds. So could you have somebody from your committee, cause I called Elise and she said she was gonna go down and pick it up, she never did.
All right, I didn't know I had a sign out there.
Right, cause that's why I told her
But,
when I voted to make sure they picked all of them up,
Right.
but they didn't.
But you have my permission to pull it up.
I can't, I'm elected to read. And also, can we get sidewalks up to Chambers?
Get sidewalks.
You know, where we don't have sidewalks, could we work on getting sidewalks?
We can work on it. Oh, Chief.
You talking about sidewalks on Bellefontaine Road?
Right.
Okay, the only thing I can share with you is my experience with St. Louis County Department of Transportation. When, right before they started their paving project, last year they came and talked with me and the previous mayor about not only paving, but striping concerns and how to configure the lanes down there. And one of the things that we did ask for were sidewalks. We wanted sidewalks on areas of Bellefontaine Road because there are a lot of walkers that come up down Bellefontaine Road.
Right.
That shoulder is about 2 inches wide.
Right.
And we were concerned, we've always been concerned about the safety of people walking up Bellefontaine Road. But unfortunately, St. Louis County does not have the money or funds or the ability to put in sidewalks. And so basically, we were denied the opportunity to get sidewalks.
Okay. And also about trash, if you see it, can anybody pick it up? I mean, whoever see trash, cause it's too much trash in Bellefontaine. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, did you have a?
I'll get that sign.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I got it.
Save it now for next time.
I'll put it in your office.
Yes,
Mildred Perry, 9361 Dinky Drive. My question is, just recently I noticed at the rec, the sign says that young men or whoever's playing basketball, they now have to pay $1. And I just would like to know what brought that all about.
That's your only question?
Yes.
I'll have to get back with you on that, 'cause I don't know.
Well, Mark's here, he can.
Oh, Mark's,
Well, he can answer
Where
it
is-
later.
yeah, you can answer it later.
Okay.
You get it right now.
Yes.
Sam Howard, 824 Levine. I just would like to know what's the update on the flood situation as far as water, more sandbagging or whatever.
Thank you, we're gonna give a report on that tonight. Anyone else?
Greg Warnes of 10030 Creek Drive. My report is that the Moline Creek is up to 19.60 feet tonight. I ride my bike on the Riverfront Trail when I can, and I got turned back by water over the trail about 3 weeks ago. So I went and found the Geological Survey's website where they tell you what the level of things is. It was Moline Creek that flooded the trail. Then it was at 10 feet, and now it's at almost 20 feet. And that's in the space of less than 3 weeks.
Thank you for that information. Anyone else? All right, then, I'll call it back. Can you come? Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I just want to thank the police department and the aldermen and the councilmen and all the authorities. Thank you all for Bellefontaine and the good work you all do. And I especially would like to thank Mayor Pearson. Thank you for what you already have done. God bless you.
What did I do?
We'll talk later. I want to know. And I wanted to know, because I've been in Bellefontaine since 1999. And like I said when I was here before, I'm steady getting my neighbors telling me that they getting broke in on. And then last month, a guy came through my backyard and went through my belongings. So I'm wondering now, can we get some cameras in the alleys or on the street? And then I'm also wondering, can we get some speed bumps for my grandbabies and these children? Because they is terrible on Rayford. They just fly through there. I'm scared to come out, and I'm scared to have my grandkids to come out. So I just done put their bikes up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I think when I first took this seat, I told you about my overall plan for the city of Bellefontaine neighbors and surrounding cities. We have to organize ourselves to solve our own problems. There are no cameras better than your eyes. When you see something, say something. So we need to organize ourselves to solve our problem by getting to know our neighbors and talking to people and just working together as neighbors, just like we did with the flood. People coming out there and they was introducing themselves to one another because they were doing something for their city together. That's the kind of spirit that we want to create in Bellefontaine neighbors. Neighbors helping neighbors. You can't chase crime. You got to stop crime before it happens. And so if you see something, call the first time. Don't get tired of them and then call. Call right away before they get too far gone. Anyone else? All right. We'll call the meeting back. Commissions, commission and board report. Public Safety Committee. Anyone here from Public Safety? Youth Commission. Huh?
She can read the report. Is there one in there?
No. We have one for right now, and then when I make my.
Okay. So I'm gonna just go on this list and keep it moving. Is that good?
Okay.
Okay.
So you want youth?
Yeah.
Okay. The bike rodeo, was on May the 18th, and, they had 20 kids in attendance, and, they mentioned that they will be looking for refurbished bikes, and heifers with set up and take down and face painting for the next event. That's just a summary. Youth fishing experience will be June the 8th, so that's pretty much this weekend. At the Veteran Home from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. The chair for the event will be Scott. And then they talk about the giveaways. In the past, it's always been a girl and a boy. And they normally give out snacks and so forth. Then next event in June is the family golf night, June the 14th. And they will have another one on August the 9th. I'll just repeat that closer to the time at Bellefontaine Rec Center. And then a youth pool party will be on July the 13th from 7 to 9:30, and they will be giving out approximately $25 incremental gift cards to those in attendance, and there would be a fee of $5 for a ticket, if the, youth does not have a swim pass. Their next meeting will be May 20th at 7 p.m.
Alderman Jones.
Correction,
Mhm.
the fishing activity will be at the Missouri Conservation Area. It's the Bellefontaine Conservation Area, which is north of the Veterans Home. And it'll be in the training ponds on the left side of the road as you go in.
Also, I have about 20 or 25 bicycles that need to be refurbished. I will donate them.
Say about 20, about 20?
Yeah, about 20. I will give them. Bicycles that I have, yes.
I don't have that many, but I do have two, I believe, in my garage that I could donate. They belong to my son.
So we got two, we got 20, at least 22.
Chief, are you aware of how many helmets were left? Would it be enough for the next event, or?
I haven't done it.
Okay, but it was enough for this event, and I did ask them to, share whether or not they would need additional ones, or if they will have to, reach out for donations for, the future event, so.
Chief, did you have your hand up? You didn't have your hand up, did you? Okay. All right, so we'll move down to image and beautification. Yes.
I haven't seen any minutes from the last meeting yet, but the next meeting will be June the 11th at 7 p.m. up here at City Hall. So please stop by if you would like to come to the meeting.
All right, thank you. Parks and Recreation.
Okay, here comes Mark right around the corner.
Come around the corner.
Mark, there was a question, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. Well, I'm on the Parks and Rec board. There was a question posed by a resident about something with the basketball kids do not have to pay $1 or do have to pay $1?
Kids, yes, they have to pay $1. Yes.
But there is a package, right?
Oh, yeah, there.
$30 for the entire 12
Yes,
months.
for the whole year, it's $30, correct.
Okay.
But yeah, it's $1. Now, if, let's say their family buys a swim pass for the kids, then it's free for them. So it's just an offset of, I guess, residents that just do one thing and everybody else is paying a fee for what they're doing. And there is cost associated with basketball, just like there is, the weight room and the pool and so forth.
Did that answer your question? Ma'am?
Well, it does, and it doesn't, and yes, I see that, but they've not done that before, so I guess.
True.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, you're true.
Okay,
Yes,
so
you're correct.
I want to know why.
Money, basically. As you all are aware, minimum wage went up last year. The people voted for it, which is good. But you still have to pay your workers and so forth. And we haven't ever had a charge with it. And you looked at other items on the list, like swimming, the weight room, other things that have had a fee attached to it and have had increases over the last, 15, 20 years, a couple different times. But that was one area that we never charged for. And if you look at a lot of the other community centers in North County, and we look just in North County because that's where we are, but just about all of them have a package. If you want to play basketball, you pay. And if you look at their costs, ours are a lot cheaper than theirs. So we thought we'd try to be as fair as possible with people, but also get a little bit of income coming in and help defer some of the expenses that we have. Our boiler went out, you know, you always have things going on, and money, unfortunately, is tight. Yes?
Don't fail to mention that there are courts that are outside for free.
True. True.
Alderman Jordan.
I was gonna say, you mentioned that you compared the things, but it's only been, what, like 3 months ago that you came in with a whole list of comparisons to the different
Correct.
communities and what they charge versus what we charge. And that was not the only fee that was raised. There were a couple others that
Oh,
were
yeah.
raised to kind of compensate, keep us in a better fee than the other communities, but at least get us a little bit extra money. So that was recently done with that study that you did. That's why you notice it now.
Right. We started it in the fall. Basically, it was like October of last year, and then the park board went through things. We got comparisons with other cities and municipalities in the county, and then we did bring it to the board. I believe it was in January that we brought it to you all and gave you what we'd come up with, and we waited till June 1st to start that particular fee. Other fees went into effect right away, such as room reservations and different things like that. So.
Are you done?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. You don't have any more questions?
I don't.
Oh, you're just waving?
No.
Oh.
Can you tell us about the park?
The park?
About the park, and then I had a question about, did you submit a budget already to?
I talked to Bill, yes, about capital expenses, and then I did submit the part-time thing to Bob, like 3 months ago.
We saw that.
Okay, so I gave him that, and then I did talk to him about the boiler costs and some other things. Yes.
Now with the, you know, the dollar amount for the people that you gave Bob, there was no number of people you would have on there. So it was just like salaries.
True. Well,
So I had to ask you.
it's like the number of people sometimes doesn't really matter. You know, if you have a guard working 20 hours and one working 15 hours and one working 30 hours, you know, it's number of hours that you probably would want.
I only saw salaries on there.
True, but I'm saying to know the dollar amount,
Well, then, yeah,
it's
you
not
can
the
give me-
people,
then
it's
you
the
can give-
hours.
Right, you could, yeah, either way. I mean, if you told me you were gonna have 4 people working part-time, I'm gonna assume that's 4 people at 20 hours, that's 80 hours.
True.
So if you wanna give me the number of people, how.
In
many
other words, we
working-
want number of hours
That's fine,
for each area.
that would be nice,
Okay.
because just telling me $14, $12, $13, it really don't kinda, you know.
Right, but then if I told you one person, if I didn't tell you the hours, that wouldn't help either. You know, if I said I got 40 people and
Well, but if you told me they were 40 part-time people, I'm assuming
Then-
they're only working 20 hours.
No.
But if you told me they were full-time, I would assume they're working 40 hours a week.
not in summer labor, because the kids can work 40 hours a week as long as they don't go over the amount for the entire year, which is 29 hours a week.
Okay.
Which if they only work for me for 2 months and then they're off to school again or wherever, you know, then, so, no, I'll get some hours for you.
Hours of work, so update on the park.
The park, we're trying to set up a walkthrough next week. The electrician still has work to do. I'm not happy with some of the seeding and grading. I've talked to him. I've got a meeting with him tomorrow, and we'll do a walkthrough with the contractor and the architect next week, and then create a punch list. And after that, hopefully they'll tell me how soon they'll get to it and done, so we can wrap this up.
Did they fix that? Did you get them to correct that paint issue? Because that was at their cost and not ours?
That, yeah, but that paint issue was from Gershenson. So we're trying to correct it ourselves. I'm lucky to get the sign out of the park from Gershenson before I take it out. So we'll, no, I have told them about it, but nobody acts like they're gonna do anything, but,
So that means we should probably consider that as a board going forward with contract with Gershenson, that they don't really comply with
I mean,
anything. Or
I
take
could
fault.
make mine do it. I know I could. I'll deal with it.
I mean, I know you will, but then it takes our guys away
True.
from things
I
that
agree.
need to be done in the city that Gershenson is really responsible for.
Right.
So when we hear that name again,
Well,
we need to remember that.
you know, it was probably, you know, a mistake made by one of their many employees and just threw it aside, and, you know, you end up with that. So, you know, so you know, I don't talk to Gershenson that much, so, I'll work on it and we'll get it done.
So you're gonna have the hours before the 17th, Mark?
I'm sorry, what
We're
now?
gonna meet on the 17th, so can you have them to us by the 15th?
The hours? Yeah, I'll put something together for you.
By the 15th.
I'll list hours next to them. It really doesn't matter employees. I'll just try to go with, and it's not gonna be like a solid number, because if it starts pouring down raining, what do we do?
You send them home.
Exactly. So, I gotta go high to cover it, and then hopefully it won't, you know, so.
Just a quick question, just for me for clarity and information.
Yes, ma'am.
So in our contract with the contractors, we didn't have an admin clause in there that if certain things happen, we can put in.
Your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just for clarity for me and maybe others. So with our contractors, we didn't have an admin clause in our contract, whereas they had a certain time to make corrections on faulty work or things that needed.
Oh, yeah, we do. It's not faulty work, and, you know, the work that, well, I can't speak for Gershenson, but John can. But, it's not that the contractor did any faulty work or anything like that. He was working on the park, and, another contractor left a can of spray paint at the site. And so it ended up being sprayed all over my park. So you know,
Gotcha.
so it's
I got it.
one of those things. So I can't really yell at my contractor because,
Right. Well, thanks for clarity, because I didn't even know that.
oh.
Thank you
and,
for explaining what happened and how it happened.
yeah, and just because we knew what kind of paint they were using and stuff, we figured it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted it to go on the record, because I kinda talked to him on the break, and he was willing to project out a little bit on.
Yeah, like a 5-year.
Yeah,
Yes,
to
I will.
project out some of the needs, for the budget
Right.
in future years, so I definitely appreciate that.
No problem.
All righty. Man and zoning. Well,
Good evening, everybody. Does this thing work, by the way? Hold on. Okay, we didn't have a lot of official business last meeting, but one of the big ones was over the last many months, we've been talking about tightening down in-home daycare regulations. And so we kind of tried to wind it up last meeting. And in my meeting minutes, I'm sure you guys got those, we have like a little grocery list of stuff for you guys to chew on. You know, some may be too dramatic, some maybe not, but we gave you guys a choice of stuff to think about. Beyond that, last time I was here, the Honorable Mr. Jordan gave me a encyclopedia to read about the comprehensive plan for the city of Bellefontaine neighbors, and I loved reading it, believe it or not. And I read it all, and I've got it all highlighted with all kinds of notes, so we talked about it at the last meeting for quite a long time, actually.
Claim that book.
I scratched through your name on it, and it's in my office. So at any rate, we talked about a lot of big picture stuff, ideas to try to increase property values and whatnot, but it's preliminary stuff. I hope that once you guys get a chance to read it, because Denny is gonna find a whole bunch of these in maybe.
John, I need to talk to you about that.
Oh, you do?
So once you guys get a chance to read it, I was hoping we could have like a convergence of planning and zoning and you guys, and just have a brainstorming, because it's kind of out in the blue, and I get all worked up, and you know what I mean, you gotta go by the law. So it'd be fun to have a brainstorming with you guys. Yes, sir?
You mentioned in your minutes that there was 3 public sessions. For some reason in my head, I believe there was a lot more. 5 or
Well,
6.
in the back of it, at the very end, they
Does it say
described the
they-
3 meetings up there apparently.
I thought there were more for some reason.
Maybe the 3 were the big ones, who knows? But it was good stuff.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh. City engineers. I'm sorry, building inspector.
Make sure I'm in the right order.
You're ready.
Okay. You have the numbers in front of you here for May. The occupancy inspections have been picking up. We did 52 new residential inspections. We also did 4 commercial inspections this time. That was the Conoco up on Chambers, changed owners. Also, Trimark Metals down in St. Cyr that is looking to change hands with the new buyer from, they're going to buy Metal Recovery, which is being bought by Trimark Metals across the road. So we've been looking at those 2 commercial properties. This month, grass has been the big push. The number you see there is a little bit misleading. It has several things kind of rolled up into it. It's the inspection of all the vacant houses, the ones we mowed last year, the re-inspections of those houses, and the newly vacant houses. So that number has several things wrapped up in it. The other item that's kind of outstanding was the accident that happened up at 9300 Lewis and Clark. Talking with the owner of that building the other day. They've been in contact with an engineer, having it looked at what repairs need to be, and they're in the process of talking with the adjuster on getting paid out and getting that work started, get that building repaired. So that's about all I have to report.
Any questions?
What building is that?
The old Journal building.
Thank you. City engineer.
Good evening. You have my report in front of you for the month of May on the different occupancy, renewals, rentals. Roughly, you've got 34 of various repeat new owner. We've had 31 new building inspection applications, so that will be coming down your way. Been working a lot with Michael on how we handle the master plan book that was out there, reviewing to see if there's a lot of good information in that book. And there's some that I think would be needing some updating, but as you will read it, I think you'll agree. And also working with Joe on the metal building, the cycling on St. Cyr Road, making sure that they conform to the zoning that's required there. So.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Approval of invoices over 500.
I would like to make a motion to approve the invoices over 500. There are 18 for a total of $49,124.44.
All right, moved in second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposers? Thank you. chief's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna start with, the shooting that we had back on, early Saturday morning on June 1st. So, in the 10,400 block of Seton. The suspect is 19, his name is Cameron Downs. He shot two young women, one was 17, the other one was 19. This spawned over an argument from a previous shooting over an Applebee's at Paul's Ferry 270. Mr. Downs was arrested yesterday and he's being held on bail, $100,000, with 10% fine. The two victims are fine with treatment. And if I could, I'd like to give a report on the status of where we're at with our emergency management project, flooding, and so forth. And I would like to do this Facebook Live so the general public will have access to it as well. Is that okay with you?
That's fine with me, sir.
Thank you. Just give me just a second to set up. Doing this Facebook Live, so if anyone's been following our Facebook page, I've been giving updates every day. And this way, the general public, you can look at it later, someone needs to look at it. It'll be on our page. You'll probably have the Facebook. Just let me do it. I am live from the City of Bellefontaine Neighbors Board of Aldermen meeting. I wanted to take this chance to give the public a briefing on the entire process of emergency management that has happened over the last week. And I would also like to discuss the current affairs of flooding in our area. Last Wednesday morning on May 29th, I met with Chief Goldstein from the Riverview Fire Protection District. We had a discussion because we had growing concerns related to the rise of the Mississippi River. When the Mississippi rises, it forces Maling Creek to rise and to back up through southern Bellefontaine Neighbors. So Chief Goldstein and I went around and assessed the potential flood areas along the Maling Creek area and reviewed historical data from 1993, which we found pretty invaluable. Since the area topography has not changed very much at all, we kind of pretty much knew where our hotspots were going to be. So we contacted the Executive Director, Mark Dietrich, with the St. Louis County Office of Emergency Management, and held a meeting with the city's Emergency Management Director, Mayor Tommy Pearson, to discuss plans regarding anticipated precipitation and flood issues. Our focus was on the Bond and Marias area in the southern portion of our town. We decided it was in the best interest of our community to protect the lives and property by building a sandbag flood wall running north and south on the east side across Laban and Marias and blocking off Gallery Park area. It had already started to experience significant flooding. So we created a written incident action plan with the Office of Emergency Management to identify our objectives, organization roles and responsibilities, and a safety plan. Chief Goldstein and I shared command over the entire disaster plan. Riverview Fire Protection House 2, located down at Bellefontaine Road, and Fontaine Place was chosen as the unified command center. City Hall was selected as the staging area where volunteers could come park their cars and come into City Hall and register with the park rangers, so we knew who was volunteering and participating and who was going to be at the work site. City of Bellefontaine Neighbors Park and Recreation Center provided a shuttle that shuttled all the workers to and from the work site. On Thursday, May 30th, the City of St. Louis Office of Emergency Management closed the floodgates down on Ruby Boulevard. Once they closed those floodgates, it made the problem a little bit worse because the water had nowhere to go but up into the southern area of Bellefontaine neighbors. So St. Louis City detoured traffic from Ruby Boulevard to Bellefontaine Road. So we were starting to experience an influx of a lot of traffic congestion, a lot of traffic jams. I contacted the St. Louis County Department of Transportation. We had a project going down in that area for road work, and they decided to temporarily suspend it to help with our traffic problem. I also reached out to the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office to see if I could enforce no parking on the east side of Bellefontaine Road to alleviate people from parking and create congestion during high traffic times, like during the morning and the evening during rush hour traffic. We even went as far as to knock on the doors of anybody that lived right there in that area, had conversations with them, and even gave them letters from me detailing and explaining why we were doing what we were doing. We used the police department's Facebook and Twitter social media. We used City Hall, and we also used United Way as methods of marketing information and reaching out to the public to let them know how they could volunteer and where they should go. And we continually gave daily updates on what was happening in the flood areas and the progress that we were making. The flood wall project was set to begin on Monday, June 3rd. Barricades, road signage, and digital billboards were installed by Bellefontaine Neighbors Public Works Department. The City of Florissant Public Works Department even donated 2 additional digital billboards to help us with traffic control and motorist notification. Donated food and beverages were provided by the American Red Cross, Salvation Army, Man Meats Company, Highway 67 Barbecue, and Sam's Club. We even had portable restroom facilities on site for volunteers, and trash receptacles were provided by Waste Management. The Bellefontaine Neighbors Police Chaplains were even available on site for counseling services to the community volunteers who paid it. So on Monday morning, after a brief meeting, about 6 a.m., they started pouring all the sand down on the east side of Laban and Marias. And they poured about 300 tons evenly distributed between both streets. Sandbags were also provided by the Army Corps of Engineers. Shovels were provided by AmeriCorps, and there was other equipment available as needed. Bellefontaine Neighbors Police Department provided worksite security, and the Riverview Fire Protection District and Christian Hospital Ambulance Service were on site to provide medical attention and other services as needed. The Chief Operations Officer from AmeriCorps conducted a topography analysis of the landscape in the area and designed the shape and the height of the wall. We could have been out there building a wall, but if it should have failed, it wouldn't have done us any good. It was to our benefit that he was there to design that wall specifically for that area to keep water out. Volunteers for the first half of that Monday consisted of off-duty, unpaid emergency responders, police, fire, and EMS. They donated their time to start building that wall. There were other members of the community assisting, but we really lacked that first day the number of volunteers that we needed to make that significant progress. If we had 100 volunteers, we could have completed this within a matter of 6 hours on Monday. Ameren, Spire, MSD, I called them out. They conducted their assessments of the area to ensure that preventative safety measures were in place concerning electricity, gas, and sewer. Ameren had turned off all the electricity back there. MSD created specific plans to manage sewer and storm drains should flooding become an imminent problem now or even in the future. We were concerned with water backing up in the homes. We were concerned with storm drains being inundated with too much water to where it would flood back behind the dry side of the wall. So we have some plans in place to alleviate that should happen. Mid-afternoon, MSD sent over about 30 of their staff members to help us build that wall, and more volunteers arrived around that time as well. Many members of our community arrived in the early evening to assist in the effort and worked for several hours before the project stopped for the day. And at the end of the day, approximately about 1/3 of the flood wall was actually completed. The following morning on Tuesday, June 4th, a briefing was held with all stakeholders that I had mentioned previously. And this also included St. Louis County Executive Sam Page and his staff. After that briefing, we all went down there, including Mr. Page and his staff, took a look at the work site, what needed to be done, and we immediately got to work. We had a significant influx of volunteers that we didn't have the day before, which we were happy to have. The wall was completed probably around mid-afternoon. Metro Air Support, which is a law enforcement air unit, helicopters, landed here next to the station and gave me an aerial assessment that I needed to see what was happening, not only in that specific area, what was happening around Bellefontaine and in North City. And that's available on Facebook as well. Take a look at that. It is quite interesting to see where all that water is going. You know, give you an idea, should the river continue to rise, where it might go. We'll continue to monitor flood levels. We've been doing that every day ever since we saw this as a problem coming down the road. And as of today, water levels have increased. However, there is no threat to the flood wall in the Lebanon and Marias area. However, Mainland Creek has overflowed in the 600 block of St. Cyr, which is next to the nursing home off of Bellefontaine Road. We have permanently closed that area to any and all traffic from Bellefontaine Road over to the other side of the railroad tracks. We don't want tractor trailers trying to get through over there and getting stuck under the railroad trestle, because that's quite common. In general, we're prepared to adapt to any changes that come. So as weather pattern changes, as the crest level changes, as the day of the crest changes, we can adapt to all that, and we can manage it as it comes and as it changes. But after those conditions pass, and after all those floodwaters recede, we will have the services and equipment in place to dismantle the wall and clean the area of trash and debris, especially down on the Lebanon and Marias area. We will again be soliciting for volunteers to help with the cleanup project, and I ask that you continue to monitor the police department's Facebook page, and monitor our Twitter account. I push out as much information as available. I want everybody in our community to stay informed of what's going on. And lastly, this project does not rest with one or two people. This project is a success so far only because of the collaboration that exists with all the organizations that were involved and all the people that were involved as well. It's like a cog in a machine. You take one of those elements out, everything kind of falls apart. So everybody's important. My thanks goes out to all the organizations that participated and everybody that was there, because they played an important, if not a critical role in this environment.
All right, thank you.
You want me to answer questions about that now, or?
Are there any questions? Yes, I think somebody had a couple.
I know this gentleman back there.
Do you have a prognosis as to water level, how high it will get? Because initially, I think they were talking about, someone was saying that the wall would be 4 foot tall, and I think it looks more like maybe 2.5 foot.
Here's the funny story behind that. So, when we were looking at, old flood maps and old information from 1993, we struck a line across the field. And, initially, when we were talking about building a 4 foot high wall. And so AmeriCorps sent out, and I call him the master wall builder. I don't even remember what his title was, because that's what I kept calling him, who thought it was funny. But this guy, this is all he does, is build flood walls. So when I say that he measured the topography of the area back there, he built that wall to spec for that landscape. So that no matter where the water went, it was covered. He said a 4 foot high wall doesn't make any sense. The wall must meet the topography of the landscape, and the shape of the wall itself must meet the topography of the landscape. So I am 101% confident that any floodwaters that reach that wall will not go past that wall. And there's about a 1.5 foot buffer built in on that wall, according to the 46 foot crest that's been circulating around. I heard it's been lowered to 45.5. But I know for sure, on record back in '93 was 49 feet. So I'm pretty sure, I'm actually 100% confident that that area back there is safe. We're just concerned about sewer and stormwater, and we have a plan for that as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, I was at the fire district meeting on Tuesday, and one of the things that we said, they said, we saw aerial maps. And it seems to me that when whoever made the decision to put the block up on Riverview, that's what made all the water come into our community?
That was, I would say that caused part of the excessive flooding. If that wall was down, we still would've got flooded. That's my point. Putting the wall up redirected some of that water because it had nowhere to go but to where it was.
Our community. So who makes that? Does St. Louis County understand that that could be a detriment to our community?
Oh, absolutely. But it's the City of St. Louis Office of Emergency Management who makes that call on that wall because it's owned by St. Louis.
Oh, that's St. Louis City.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my other question was, I understand the communication was a little difficult getting out. We also discussed some kind of way that we could have a mass communication, like email alert, like when I get on the phone when there's some kind of emergency or something. Can we do something like that for the residents to send out a text message or something that says, we got an emergency coming up, we need to have some help?
We can, but I would suggest using another method. Twitter's good for that. I believe Nixle is good for that. There's apps created specifically for that you can join, that we can create an account on. That way, if I want to put out a mass blast, and you have that on your phone, because I don't know anyone that doesn't have a smartphone. Well, I don't have most people have smartphones, and to reach a mass amount of people now is through applications that do things like that.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do we have any, what you talking to me?
Yes.
Do we have any resources or grants for any of the residents that may have a flood or anything in place?
You wanna kinda talk about that a little bit? Not that I'm aware of. We got any?
No, I would think people in that area should have flood insurance. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
And I do not think that if something should happen, I don't think it's gonna reach the level of standard required by FEMA for reimbursement or financial aid as well. And that's just my personal opinion. Because what's happened so far and the costs involved have been very, very minimal. What I foresee happening over the next, let's just say through the weekend, because there's supposed to be rain coming in here and there. If you get lucky, the last couple of days, everything's gone south of us. Homeowners insurance is one thing, but like the mayor said, with grants and even federal aid, it may even rise to the level of getting aid to get years. That's why we put in, the big thing's water, right? So, for example, let's talk about the sewer drains first. I had a long discussion with MSD on that because I didn't want sewers backing up into people's homes. One of the things that caused a lot of problems with flooding is sewers backing up. So they are constantly pumping out all sewage so it doesn't back up into your home. When it comes down to storm drains, when they fill up the street and start overflowing, one of the problems apparently from '93 was that the wall, the dry side of the wall kind of got flooded because the storm drains overflowed. So I talked to MSD and the Office of Emergency Management, and we all thought it was a good idea to put a row of pumps, probably about 5 of them across that wall back there. And as soon as we started seeing a problem down there where a pump could pick up water and shoot it over to the wet side, that's when we would start doing that. So we're trying to keep that backside as dry as we can, so none of your property gets destroyed or affected in any way.
Well, do you think that, because I'm having a problem, I've been having a problem in my basement since 1999, flooding, and I'm steady busting the wall out, putting a new one in, busting it out, putting new in, and it's steady flooding. What can I do? MSD.
I don't know how to answer that question. If it's a flooding issue, it may be a structural issue with your home. You may need to talk to a contractor. I'm just throwing out some ideas. Aside from that, I really don't know how to answer that question.
All right, thank you. Let me just give some thank yous. I wanna say thank you to the great city of Bellefontaine neighbors, residents coming out, and I saw seniors driving up in front of City Hall with their shovels, ready to go. And I wanna thank them for that. I wanna thank the police department and police chaplains. We got a couple of chaplains here tonight. We want to thank them, Park and Recreation Department, City Hall, and Riverview Fire Protection District, Christian Hospital Ambulance Service, and the St. Louis County Office of Emergency Management, County Executive Sam Page and his staff, Department of Transportation, and St. Louis County Park Rangers, the Prosecutor Attorney's Office, Western Bell, Ameren, Spire, MSD, City of Florissant, Public Works Department, Metro Air Support, and the chief and I was working hand in hand until he got on the helicopter. I had to let it go.
I must sneak him on one day.
And that we want to thank the non-profit and private and other donors, AmeriCorps, United Way, American Red Cross, Salvation Army, Waste Management, Man's Meats Company, and Highway 67 Barbecue, Sam's Club, and the Army Corps of Engineers, and a number of labor unions were out here as well. And my thanks go out to all of them. Missouri Martial Arts donated the water right here for the cleanup. You're gonna need some water when we all go out there to clean up. Water is already here, and so we're ready to go. So Bellefontaine neighbors on the move, neighbors helping neighbors, and that's the image that we want to project and continue. We're gonna solve our own problems, because hand in hand, together, we can.
Mayor?
All right, as we move on to the rest of our, oh, yes, Chief?
I just have one more thing to say about this.
All right.
It's a simple thing, but it brought me a lot of pride. The morning after the sandbagging was done, they went out every morning about 7 o'clock and took an assessment, took pictures, and posted information up. There was not one scrap of trash anywhere down there. And that tells me how much people care about their community, their area. Nothing, completely clean.
Right.
And, I mean, I just thought that was something worth saying.
Absolutely. And so kudos to Bellefontaine neighbors. Don't ask me to repeat it. Okay, thank you. All right, City Attorney. Good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Huh? And no one's looking at you, huh?
I have no reports.
All right. Unfinished business. All right, we're moving on. Bill number 2544, introduced by Alderman Chapman. This is for the second reading.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that bill number 2544, which had its first reading on May 16th, now have its second reading.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Mhm. I'm confused now.
Okay.
There was a
First reading on May 2nd.
And then it
It was tabled on the 16th.
Okay.
But it's on the agenda, you can just read it. You don't need a motion for a second.
Okay. All right, just read it.
Bill number 2544, an ordinance amending section 2-23 of the city code to establish limitations on the number of licenses for the sale of intoxicating liquor.
Then if I may, your motion would be to adopt the bill.
I will make a motion to adopt the bill.
Okay, all right. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call it. Any discussion? Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Alderwoman Tapman.
No.
Alderman Jordan.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Alderman Murs.
No.
Alderman Reed.
Alderwoman Reed.
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Reed. I've got it right here. I couldn't.
No.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
No.
Alderman Christian.
No.
And Alderman Jordan. I'm sorry, Alderwoman West, I'm sorry.
No.
With a 7-0 vote, the motion fails.
All right, thank you. Bill number 2545, introduced by Alderman Joy.
I'd like to have the first reading and move on to second reading for roll call and final approval of bill number 2545. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Bellefontaine, Neighbors, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the Eastern Missouri Coalition of Police, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 15, relating to the terms and conditions of the employment for certain commissioned and law enforcement officers of the city.
Second. That's second. Roll call.
Just a motion for second.
All right, this is a motion for second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, second reading.
For the second, I make a motion for second reading and approval by roll call of bill number 2545, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Bellefontaine, Neighbors, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the Eastern Missouri Coalition of Police, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 15, relating to the terms and conditions of employment for certain commissioned and law enforcement officers of the city.
You got a second?
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt by roll call vote.
Second.
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 I'm sorry, who was in it? Miranda.
Roll call.
Alrighty. Alderman Jordan.
Yes.
Alderman Christian.
Yes.
Alderwoman West.
Yes.
Alderman Murs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
Yes.
Alderwoman Tapman.
Yes.
And Alderwoman Reed.
Yes.
With a 7, I'm sorry, I said that wrong earlier, the 7-0 vote. The majority of the members is elected to the Board of Aldermen here, having voted for passage of Bill number 2545. The bill was passed by the board and would become ordinance number 2455, when and if signed by the mayor. And I'd like to correct myself, it was 0 to 7 on Bill number 2544.
I thought you said 0 to 7.
Everybody knew that, didn't say. Thank you.
The report of the mayor. I've given my thank yous for all of the help during the flood. And now, I'd like to make a couple of appointments. Image and beautification, we will just reappoint all of those who are on there. Parks and Recreation, all right, is there approval for the board?
If I may, so that the record is clear as to who is being appointed, if you would read the list of the appointees.
You got that.
And their terms of office, so that it's in the minutes.
Okay. Which one was on? Image and beautification, yes. All right, we have, Jenny Stewart, Lynn Gordon, Rodney Whedon, Shelley Davis, Margie Cook, Leo Gordon, Andrew Fields, and Carolyn McDonald. Is there move to adopt this one? Move approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the names read for image and beautification.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Been seconded. Yeah, that's it.
You're right, all in favor?
No, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Ayes have it, and so on. Okay, now where are we now? Okay.
I have a question, Mayor. Does that leave any vacancies on Ivy?
No, there are no vacancies.
It was 2 listed.
Were there 2 on there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got it right here.
2 vacancies. There's 8 members, it's a 10-member board, 2 vacancies.
Okay, we have 2, and I'm not prepared to offer the replacement at this point.
No, I was just wondering,
Mhm.
just
And
for the
that's good.
audience.
Right, that's good, yeah. Youth Commission, which is, yes.
For the image and beautification, is there a chair that you want to designate, or you keeping the same chair? For image and
Okay.
beautification,
I've been informed that the board elects their own chair.
for image and beautification.
Okay. Youth Commission, which is, they just got here the chair. Okay. Rich, Pfluger, John DeHardaway, Scott Schultz, Wayne Anderson, Gene King, Melanie Sims, Alicia Smith, Tim Compass, and Ken Wilkins. All in favor?
Second.
Is there a second?
Yes,
All right, is
second.
that comment?
I was gonna make a motion, but, I did want to bring up, I don't know, if you were considering it or not, but, Alderwoman Dales recommended, Alicia Smith as a chair.
They choose their own chair.
No, they don't for that.
They don't? Okay, then that's fine. Okay.
Are you appointing her the chair then?
I'm appointing her the chair, yes.
Okay.
We need a motion, please,
Is there a motion?
to
I would like
go
to
along
make,
with the mayor's recommendation.
okay, I would like to make a motion for Alicia Smith to serve as the chairperson for the Youth Commission.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I have a question.
Question?
Does that committee currently have a chair?
Yes, they do.
I'm assuming that they do.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye. For the chair.
Motion on the approval of the mayor's appointment of the chair.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, is nay?
Aye.
Nay.
All right.
Jordan and West opposed.
Well, ayes have it. All right, the next,
I thought Jordan said yes.
huh?
Did you say
I'm against appointing chairman.
Okay, but ayes have it. All right, the next is, what did I do with my paper?
Oh, it's mine.
You got my paper.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
I'm sorry, Mayor, is there a vacancy on there?
On what?
On you?
No,
The youth? Yeah.
Youth or Parks?
You.
no.
No.
No vacancy on that.
Excuse me, Mayor, for clarification, did we vote on the entire members yet? Did you report that, Denny?
Yes, I did. Alderman
I made the
Jordan
motion.
and Alderwoman West seconded.
Okay, I didn't know if we voted for that because I think I kinda interjected on the question about the chair, and we might have done it.
I think I got it.
Okay.
If it's correct.
All right, Park and Recreation.
3 vacancies.
We have 3. Okay, there are 3 vacancies, and so I don't have appointments for those vacancies. But as you know, Mark Dickerson is retiring at the end of the month. And so I'm recommending that, where is it here? Yeah, so I'm designating, what is it, Craig? What's his last name? Shaker.
I did pronounce it right.
I'm recommending Craig,
We'll
sitting
just
right
call him
there,
Craig.
to fill in for Mark Dickerson. Is our motion to that?
I would like to make a motion that Craig Schenkler will be appointed as the Parks and Recreation Chair.
Got a second?
I'll second that. Craig Scheidegger.
What's his name?
Scheidegger.
2 syllables.
How do you say your name? How do you pronounce your name?
It's both the same.
Big green.
Craig,
It's been moved and probably second that Craig would be be chairman of that Parks and Recreation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers? All right. Got to reappoint the members. Who was it? Oh, they ready. Right. And Mark will be there until he leaves at the end of the month. He's retiring. So we have on there Tina Swindle, Kathy Endorf, Judy McIntosh, Mantage, and Dave Cross.
Dave Cross, if you mess that one up, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. And we'll just reappoint those. Now, there are some others there are some other vacancies in there. There are 3 other vacancies, and we're gonna come with those replacement at a later time. All in favor?
We need a motion.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we renew the park board members and to include Mark until he retires.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Ayes have it. All right, so we got planning and zoning. Planning and zoning. Okay, so we got, we're reappointing Pat Barrett and John DeHardaway. And we're adding, we got a vacancy on there, right?
Try to say Matt's name.
Huh?
Yeah, we've got 2 motions. So it's a
Right.
motion to approve
Okay, I got it put. Okay, all right, thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
There's one, we need to make a motion.
You gotta make a motion.
Is there a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion so I can ask the question. I'll make the motion. I'd like to make a motion to accept, the members on, the current members of planning and zoning with 1 vacancy, and,
Is there a second? Been moved and second?
okay, on the question.
I'll second.
Okay. He's already second. What's the
Okay.
question?
On the question, it's not a concern, but there are at least a couple of people with, 2 or 3 committees that they're on. And if there's other individuals who have an interest in serving, I would be interested in knowing which committee they want to serve on, so it allows someone else to serve on it. So John is on 2, Mike is on 2, so,
Leo Gordon's on 2.
and which other?
Leo.
Leo, so,
I'm sorry,
Which
Mike
2 is
Weezer.
Mike on?
Mike Weezer, which one?
Mike Petro on the Board of Adjustment.
Oh, I thought we were talking about planning and zoning.
He's not on planning and zoning.
No, I was talking
So
about
that-
John.
okay.
I just included him in my
Your point-
reference.
Your point's well taken.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion?
I have a question.
What's the question?
I thought, Weezy was on this board.
Who is?
He's the chairman. Okay, well, why are we only reappointing Pat and John?
It's not his time.
Term's not up.
It's staggered.
That's 3 years from
Okay. Oh, no, I'm good. I agree.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers, nay. So ayes have it and so ordered. All right, I'd like to make, another appointment to planning and zoning. Have that written down, but where is it? Oh, yeah, okay. Ms. Wanda Lane would be appointed to planning and zoning. Is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion that Ms. Wanda Lane be appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that Ms. Lane would be added to the planning and zoning board. All in favor, say aye.
To the question, Mr. Mayor. My first question is, who recommended, Ms. Lane to sit on the planning and zoning commission?
Prior to, I'm recommending
Okay,
it. Does
and
that
I
make any
guess,
sense?
no, it doesn't.
Well, thank you.
It doesn't, and then again, it does. It doesn't because, I don't see where in her, bio that she wrote what qualifies her to serve on that committee or to be an asset to that committee, I should say. Not necessarily qualifications, but an asset to that committee.
You look for me to answer that?
Yeah, I am, because you said you recommended her, so yes.
Right, she satisfied me, so.
That's
I'm
not
satisfied with
answering,
it,
but that's not answering the question.
Well, without her resume before me, and she's a longtime resident of this city, and she is very faithful in these board meetings, and I think that she would be a qualified person.
Well, she also worked on yours and Ms. Tapman's campaign.
I don't think she worked on mine.
Well, at any rate, I don't see anything in her resume that would make her an asset to that particular commission. Image and beautification, yes. Parks and recreation, probably. But not this particular commission. So, so you recommended her. You don't really know why, except she's been a long-term resident, et cetera. Okay. End of my questions.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers, nay?
Nay.
I'm sorry, Jordan.
Ayes have it.
West. Jordan and West. Thank you.
Alderman Elliott, add her to your list as being on 2 different committees as well.
Who? Wanda Lane?
Wanda Lane.
What's the other committee?
She's on the police interview board.
But, is that committee in the ordinance? I didn't see that in the ordinance.
She's on the police interview board.
No, I'm just talking about committees in the ordinance. Yeah, that's not a, committee meeting.
All right, we're down now to the report of all the people. Yes.
Was there any openings left in planning and zoning?
Just one.
It is one, so it's just 4 people now, easy with Wanda and Pat and, John, right?
Matt Bosmorowski
Matt.
is still on it, and Leo Gordon's still on it.
Okay, so 1 vacancy. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I was waiting turn. Thank you, I got it.
All righty. All right, let's move to the, Alderman report. Economic development.
It's the Alderman report, and you just pick a person.
Okay. Where did I start? Alderman West.
Thank you, Mayor. When I take that deep breath, people know to get ready. The first thing I want to address, I've heard a lot of people talking about speed bumps and other safety issues of the city, about grants, etc. I was assigned the task from this board to come up with some means of getting speed bumps, sidewalks, additional lighting, etc. Put a lot of work into it, had a lot of meetings in regard to that. All to have it voted down due to the outside influence of some people that I will call the Real Housewives of Bellefontaine neighbors. So these are people who like to run things and not be accountable for them. And they will go on next door and write a synopsis of all of this according to the word and truth according to whomever. So that's as far as it goes with the grant writing and what I tried to accomplish after being assigned this task by this board. And so the ordinance failed. Am I upset? Yes, I am very upset. Because I put a lot of work into it, and so did the other people who were on the safety committee. I am very disappointed because I was told some things would happen with the new board. And I am seeing those things come to pass. Yes. And so what I want to say is there have been talks of cliques, white cliques, etc. A clique is a clique. I don't care if it's white, black, green, blue, or yellow. We're supposed to be up here to legislate law to assist this city in becoming the best city that it can become. That is why we are here. We're not supposed to be up here for our personal choices, whether we drink alcohol or not. You may not drink alcohol, but I might drink alcohol. You may eat pork, I may not eat pork. But it's all a choice. And so we need to keep that in mind as we sit here and we try to legislate things that we feel are best for this community. We have not had the opportunity, no one up here, to go person by person to see, and it's impossible, how you would want us to vote on a certain issue. But what I would like to see is us keep personal agendas out of the way and vote for things that really will make a positive impact on this community. I also want to ask the gentleman over there with the camera, are you videotaping this meeting?
Am I taping the meeting?
Yes.
I didn't know that I was supposed to talk during the meeting.
I'm asking you a question.
The camera is moving, yes.
So what do you plan on doing with the video from that?
I don't plan on doing anything with it unless I'm asked.
Okay, well, I don't know, but I'm gonna ask the attorney. I realize this is a public meeting. However, when someone is videotaping, I feel, need to know the intent and purpose that you have for doing so. And if I disapprove, that I don't want my face plastered somewhere, I should have the right to ask you not to do that. Or if you plan on making it public on some social media, that you should need my approval to do that. So, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any type of advice on that?
The law allows members of the public to record public meetings, and we have no say as to what they do with the recordings, and we have no authority to tell them they can't do it.
Okay, thank you very much. And, okay, so that is it for me. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Alderman Ted.
Thank you.
If I may, specific provisions, section 610.020 subsection 3 of the Missouri Revised Statutes, a public body shall allow for the recording by audio tape, videotape, or other electronic means of any open meeting. Establish a guideline by which this is to be conducted so as to minimize disruption. I don't think anyone sensed the disruption. But the law specifically authorizes anybody who wants to record an open meeting to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney O'Keefe. First, I would like to present for the community's open transparency. There is, I think everyone got a copy of the minutes that we had for our first public meeting for our first annual Bellefontaine Family Fest. So if you did not, I would like to address you to the table, direct you to the table. Those are meeting notes from that meeting, so you know what happened in that. And I invite all of you as citizens to attend the second meeting, which would be Wednesday, the 13th, at 6 o'clock at the Rec Center. And that's the 16th, I'm sorry, at the Rec Center. And so we still want input from the community on how this would look like. This will be our first annual Bellefontaine Family Fest. So those notes are available. I would also like to give the report from the Public Safety Committee meeting. Also for your information, there's an Article 6 of Public Safety Committee. It states what we are formed for and what our responsibilities are. That's one of the things that we went over in the meeting. Chief Ivor presented that as attending the meeting. And so there was a lot of discussion about us following the guidelines and taking on some of the responsibilities. Also, the new business, we talked about the Riverview School District will hold a back to school event the first week of August, and there's a renewed discussion of preparing a public safety strategic plan. I would like to invite citizens who would like to be a part of helping us come together and preparing a public safety plan. Prime example with the flooding, with the citizens out there helping to protect our neighbors' homes. But if we had a strategic plan in place that would support what our first and second responders did on a basis, what would citizens do? What are some of the things we can do as a safety mechanism? Also, I would like to, for your viewing, for information as well, we have some additional support paperwork on the ordinance that was read. And again, I would like to thank those of you who kept me in your prayers as we traveled and saw about my dad. Dad is fine, and I thank you.
I just wanted to say it's nice to be back with my son's graduation. I was out and then traveled, but I too was affected by the storms or whatever. I had sewer backup, so in my basement. So make sure you guys, call MSD's. There was a main blockage for me, so it was on them. But making sure that our sewer's main lines are cleared. So sometimes when people, I guess maybe raking leaves or whatever, people aren't doing that all the time like they used to. So I was welcome home to unkind smells. But so anywho, as Alderwoman Tatman said, the BFF, Bellefontaine Family Fest, is scheduled for July 16th, so from noon to 4. So most definitely put that on your calendar. Be right here at our rec center, where we'll have a lot of parking, a lot of space to do things. And so please put that down and make sure you bring the family out. I think it'll be nice if it goes off the way we're seeing it, we're envisioning it. So it'd be really nice. And it's for everybody. It's Bellefontaine, period. and our neighbors, you know, we want to invite our neighbors as well. But I look forward to getting the budget. You know, we have those meetings set up for some of you guys were here. So we'll be tackling that this month, and hopefully we can have that done. So we have a July 1 budget in place, you know, unlike last year. But we're trying to do things better. It just takes a little bit of time. So thank you all for coming out.
I'm a little bit tired. My ears are kind of feeling right now. I have the next meeting planning on June 12th. Is that correct?
See, we both tired, yes. It's June 12th, which is next Wednesday.
Okay, and the event is July 13th.
13th. July 13th.
Yeah, I thought you said did you say 16th? Okay. I
That's
heard
the
something
13th.
correctly.
And information has been placed on Nextdoor, also Ward 1's Facebook page and social media. So for those of you that are not on Nextdoor, it's something else I would like to invite you to do, is to leave your email address where we can invite you to join Nextdoor, where you can find out upcoming events, and not only in our community, but our neighboring communities as well. Thank you, Chief.
Alderman Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I want to welcome Wanda Lane, and congratulations, Craig. I think you're going to do a great job. You have for years, so.
Don't jump on my thing. You missed it. That's all, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Jones.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight, and I'd like to thank everyone that helped with the flood situation. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Just again, thank you to anyone who volunteered with the sandbagging effort. Congratulations to everyone who got reappointed. Congratulations to Wanda, and congratulations to Craig. And just remember, we're all up here to serve the public, and our eyes are all on all of us, so let's do our best to just serve the public. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I did want to highlight, in the absence of Dr. Trano, is that correctly saying his name? Riverview School District, they celebrated 4 consecutive years of APR, and that's just annual yearly progress towards their MSIP. So I think they're still working towards changing the status. The Prop R project began at the schools across the district. The assessed value of the properties increased. Class of 2019 doubled. They've had several impactful partnerships. Innovative school-based health centers opened. 9 educators, more than other districts in Missouri, were nominated as national life changers. And they did note that as far as the school board changing back to elected, I believe was 2020, they indicated. So individuals who will be interested in school board, gear up, because unlike St. Louis Public, the elected board continued to exist while the state appointed board was in place, and so it gives them some advantage. But we would pretty much be starting fresh with whoever the elected officials are. So I just encourage individuals to go to the school board meetings to begin to have an idea about that process. And congratulations to all of the appointments and reappointments. And thank you to everybody who did the sandbagging. When I came up here, they said, we don't need anyone else. So I took advantage of my gym shorts and went over to the rec center. But I did see individuals posting from Jennings and other places. So we had people from other communities to come and help our community. And I could really appreciate them doing that, because they realized that we're all in this together. And I wanted to also acknowledge John for completing the FOP process, wrapping it up. I think this has been ongoing for a while, and I'm happy to hear that we are close to ending the process.
That was 10 years and 15 months of my time.
How many days?
It was 10 years for the whole process. I was only involved for 15 months.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And let me say this, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the public. I do have a city clerk that I'll be recommending to be hired to fill Danny's place. Her name is Fran Stevens. She lives on Newby. She's a resident of Bellefontaine neighbor. She's a current city clerk now at in Pagesdale. And so I think she's well qualified. And I spoke with her, and she's very happy about if we select her to come to Bellefontaine neighbor. She lives down the street or something.
No.
Yes.
I forgot, early Father's Day to all the dads out here.
Thank you.
It's very important, so.
Very important.
To our 3, 4, 5 dads probably, happy Father's Day.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Chief?
No, I'm just,
What?
I'm being a dad.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Can I make the motion for the 2 special meetings at this time?
I make a motion to approve Ms. Stevens. To work out deals and everything with her, and to go ahead and hire her as city clerk.
Second.
Do we need a roll call for them? All right, moved and second that we will proceed with Ms. Stevens. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. So ayes have it and so on. All right, yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion for 2 special meetings to discuss the budget on June the 17th and the 19th, both at 7 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you amend that to ask for attendance of the treasurer and the department heads?
I think we captured that. I would like to make a motion to host 2 budget meetings to include our treasurer and our direct department heads, with the exception of administrative. With the exception of administrative for June the 17th and the 19th at 7 p.m. here at City Hall.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
I second.
I mean, what?
I second.
You second, all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Ayes have it. All right, let me say this, then I'm open up to the public. Alderwoman Elliott talked about in 2020, Riverview Gardens will perhaps begin electing the school board. Now, that is one of the most important selections you can make. I served on the school board for 7 years. I know how boards, if they have the wrong attitude, can mess up a school. So, if you look at the candidates yourself and look at their background and you choose somebody that you truly believe can help lead that school board. Now, the board does not lead the district. The superintendent leads the district. The board hires the superintendent. The board has only one employee, and that's the superintendent. And so, don't hire somebody talking about, oh, I'm gonna straighten that school out, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They ain't doing nothing but talking. They ain't gonna do nothing but mess it up. And that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Look, and to add, it's volunteer only, so it's
It's
not
volunteer, you don't
a
get no pay.
paid position, so a elected official just like in Jennings, elected official and, there's elected official and board members that have the same role in Jennings. So, because one is paid and one isn't, so just be aware of that process.
All right, so, let's continue to work together and keep this spirit of cooperation together as we've started, and hopefully we'll continue with the flood. I mean, disasters sometimes can bring us together, and this one has, and let's keep it going. Who knows what's next, and we wanna be ready. And I think we'll do all right. I look for us in the next 4 or 5 years to make Bellefontaine Neighbors a model city. A model city. People are coming here from around the country, looking at how we did it, and we're gonna do it. Meeting's now open to the public, but long